Welcome to Allbrands After Hours with me, Courtney Douthat. Welcome to the show. We hang out and craft together. Today, we'll be going over how to take a design you've purchased and edit it down in Canvas and bring it into your machine. Let's do it. So Teacher Appreciation is this week, and of course I've left everything to last minute. So I want to go ahead and make something to give our teacher on Friday. I think Friday, the big stuff, we've given her little stuff throughout the week, but I think Friday would be like a big day. So I thought, what better than to make her a cute little tote bag and have, you know, some cute personalization to her name, so that way it's personal, it's custom for her. So I went online, looked around, I found on Etsy a design, and of course I'll link it down below. And it was really cute with the little crayons and the teacher's name in the middle of it, and I loved it. Well, I took it, put it on my USB, put it in my machine, and it was all in pieces. And yes, I could group and edit that way, but I thought it'd be great to show you how to take a design, edit it in Canvas, and then bring it over to your machine. Alrighty, so here we have Canvas right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and click out of here because I want this screen right here because I'm going to bring in a design. I'm not going to use any of the ones that are actually in Canvas or on my machine. So I'm going to hit File, Import from my computer. A few options that I could select. My machine can read tons, so my machine could read most of these, but I'm going to go with an SVG. Alrighty, now the design had where it was a split monogram or just the whole crayon design. Well, I want to do a split monogram. And there she is. Now you're thinking, Courtney, what happened to the inside of the crayons? This is just the outside of the crayons. Well, if we come to over here to layers, if you notice, it's got these little eyes right here. Well, this is if you want to see something or not. Well, if I come down to my shapes, or my crayons, I could select that and take them away where you don't see them. I'm not deleting them. I'm just telling Canvas I don't want to see them right now. So what I usually do for a design that's multi-layered like this, I come here and I look at all my layers and I'll select the ones that I want, say, in one particular color. Let's say a design so many different colors. Well, I want just to look at the designs that are in this color. And say a design doesn't come broken down, it comes like this all together. Well, this is how I could easily do it, where I can now tell Canvas, hey, group these colors. Well, the inside of our crayons are all black, so I'm going to cut them out of black. I could cut them out of whatever I wanted. It doesn't matter that this happens to be black. I could choose the color for it. But I know I want this colored in black. So now I've got that design, I've got that first part of that design. Now, before we jump into that, I want to actually resize this whole design because I know that this isn't the size that I want for my canvas bag. So I'm going to take my cursor, I'm going to click and then drag. So don't let off your mouse until you get to the end of it. And now I'm going to resize. If I just grab right there, you can, of course, hit edit and then resize right here and tell it exactly what size you want. It's just a habit for me just to do it like that. Now I know I want my design to be fairly large because my canvas bag is pretty large. So I think I want to stay maybe like a 10 by 10. Well, I know that my grid right here, it is 1 inch. So each one of these was 1 inch. So just by eyeballing, I know that if I come right here, so if I bring my design right here, it's a 10 by 10. Now, if you wanted to add, so say we came over here to our artboard, we could tell it right here to add the roller back. So then we can see the roller right here on the sides. Well, I know this is a 10 by 10. I'm happy with this design. I want all my pieces to proportionally be this size. So now I'm happy with that. I'm going to come back to my layers. And again, I'm going to turn off or, not see the crayon part. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. This is just usually how I do it. Alrighty, so now that I've got that, it's the exact size that I want, it's in the exact placement I want, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna save this to a USB, or I could send it wirelessly to my machine. I want to do that because this is one part. I'm not gonna save it with the rest of it because this is one thing that I wanna cut out. So I'm gonna hit File right here at the top, go over here to export to an FCM, and it's telling me, hey, some of the objects aren't in there. Well, I know that. I want that, so I'm going to hit OK. And then we could export FCM file through, you know, just from your machine, then put it onto a USB, transfer FCM file through the internet or through a USB cable. So you'll select whichever one you want. So now that I have that sent over, I want to do the rest of it. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to select these guys. Now this is when you need to decide how do you want to cut each crayon out, because in my opinion there's two different ways. So I could select one crayon, so just one outline of the crayon, and just have that on my machine and cut out each color and just lay them on there. And then when I cut out the black part, so I have this one that I've started because of course multiple sons, multiple teachers. So I have this black part, let me just pull it off. So none of this is ironed down. This is just on that clear part. So then that way I can just do my placement. So I have just, let me take it off. So I have just the black part of the crayon cut out. And then I went and cut out each one of the crayons and then laid them on here. It's not glued on, it's not heated on. So I could move it as much as I want. But I could have it cut out just one individual crayon at a time, or I could have them cut all of them out and just lay my strips of vinyl in the correct color on my mat and then have it just cut out that. Now, when you do that, you need to make sure that you're, one, scanning your material in so you can see it on your screen to make sure they're placed correctly. So you could do it like that and have each vinyl, you know, strip laid out. Now, the space between each of these crayons is not even half an inch. That you're gonna have to be really particular with your placement of your vinyl if you're going to do it like that. Now, for me, it's just easier to cut out, you know, especially if I'm using scraps. Like I've got all these scraps of pieces of vinyl down here. You know, I'm going to be using scraps, so I just want to put my vinyl on there, have one crayon on my machine, and have it cut out. And then that way I can take each individual crayon, so like say this purple one right here, I can take each individual crayon after I've cut it, you know, I've cut it out of my vinyl, and then I can lay it on this black one, get my alignment, put it on here, and then sort it that way. So it's up to you. If you want to lay each vinyl color down on your mat and have it cut out all at once so you know your placement's good, then you can do it that way. Or you could just have one color at a time. I mean, you really could do a bunch of them and just put vinyl all over the mat, which is probably what I'll do. And then lay them on here. I think that's going to be the easiest way. But again, it's 1000% up to you which one you prefer to do. But the reason I'm bringing it up now, before we've even cut it out, is because since we're on canvas, we needed to select which one. So right now that we're on canvas, let's go ahead, and we don't want to see any of these. So I'm going to take out everything that we're going to cut out in that black. We're taking out right now. So all the inner parts of the crayon, I want those gone. Again, there might be an easier way to do this. This is just how I do it. Alrighty, so now we just have the crayons. There's nothing behind that crayon. Now, if you were laying your strips of vinyl in the color, you could see it on your mat exactly where to lay them. So you could do it and it wouldn't be too bad. But again, it's less than half an inch between each of these. I don't feel like doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out all the crayons. I know. She's losing her crayons, guys. So I'm going to take out every single one of these crayons except one of them. So now I've got the top part and the bottom part. And I'm going to save this. So again, File, Export. We know it's like you're missing parts. And I'm going to save that because I just want this. This is the only thing I want to bring on the machine. I'm cutting out each crayon on its own, in its own color. So that's what I want to bring over. So I have my crayon right here, and what I want to do is add text because I want to add our teacher's name to it. So I'm going to type in Miss. So I'm going to type in Miss Douthat. Alrighty, and I'm going to go ahead and move that towards the center. Now I'm not in love with the size, so I'm going to enlarge it. You can enlarge it here, or you can come over here to your edit and enlarge it over here, but I usually just do that. All right, we're gonna put her towards the center. I want her a little bit smaller this way. Now we could use alignment tools, that way we perfectly center it, but I'm just gonna eyeball it real quick. Oh my goodness, that looks precious. Now if you notice, if I zoom in right here, well, it's going into the next letter, each letter is, but it's not actually cutting them out as cursive, it's cutting them inside the letter. So if I select it and actually come down here to process overlay shapes, I can weld it together, so now it's a proper cursive where they're all going to be connected. So, I love this design, love how it looks. Let's zoom out. Cute. That is so precious. All right, now what I could do is I could save this just like this and have to delete all this out on the machine, or of course I can make it where it doesn't see these and it only will see the cursive name that I just added, and save it that way, which I think is what I'm going to do. So now we have those on our USB, or if you did it wirelessly. So now they're on our machine. Let's go ahead and let's retrieve them and let's start cutting some stuff out. All right, so I want to retrieve data, and let's retrieve it from wherever we got it. If it was wirelessly, from our machine, from a USB cable, well, I am going to do it from a USB. All right, so here's all the different ones that I have. The one that I saved is right here. There she is. So this is the black part of our design. So I'm actually going to do that first. Let's hit OK. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to edit anything because it's the exact size and proportions that we did on Canvas. So all of that editing was done on Canvas. So let's hit OK. Please select. What do we want to do? Well, maybe one day I'll actually use the stylus that comes with it. I want to cut. Half cut is already on because I've actually, tried out one. So half cut is on. Now this is pretty old vinyl. So what I'm actually going to do is, I love my auto blade, but I am going to actually bump it up one. So I'm going to scroll down one. Half cut is on, but if you notice, half cut pressure is on auto. I do want to up that one because this vinyl I'm working with is pretty old. So you usually don't have to do that. Usually I always say stick with auto, but for this I do want to up it just because this vinyl is getting pretty old. So this is the way that you can still use old vinyl if you do just want to up it one. Alrighty, now if you notice that half cut pressure, it says half cut on here. If I was to come up and select one of these, well, these aren't for half cut. These are for just a regular cut, so it's not going to do anything for my half cut. So you need to make sure that you're changing, if you want to change it, is for half cut. Do I ever change it? Not really, not often. Certain circumstances like this where I know this vinyl is years and years old, but I still want to use it because I'm frugal. So everything looks good. Let's go ahead and hit OK. All right, looks good. Let's get our mat ready. Alrighty, so I have this vinyl. Again, this is really old vinyl, and this is another way to use up your vinyl. Use up all the scraps, use it up, because I mean, it's only going to get older and older. So I'm going to take my vinyl. Now, this is heat transfer vinyl. So all vinyl is two parts. You've got pressure sensitive vinyl, PSV, and heat transfer vinyl, HTV. This is HTV because I want to put this on that canvas bag that's a fabric. So I'm going to use this to do it. Now there is a shiny side and there is a matte side. The matte side is the actual glue, the actual vinyl. The clear part is a clear part that holds it all together for you to be able to transfer it over. So again, if it's a name, you're not having to move each one of those letters. You can move it all together. So I'm going to put shiny side down on my mat. That way we're cutting out the vinyl. And remember, we did half cut on the one that we selected. That way we're only cutting through half of this material. So I'm just going to take off that tape. Now, if you notice, I did not cut the bottom of this. It's pretty long because I have more to do, and I know that it's only going to take up from what? Where's 10? Only take up a small, well, not even 10 this way, but it's, shorter this way. So it's only going to take up this much. Well, I need to do more of these, so I'm not going to cut my vinyl into itty bitty, part when I know I actually need as much as I can because, I want to use as much as I can. So it's okay if it flaps over here. You don't want it covering up these right here up at the top. And on the sides, one, because your rollers are going right there and you don't want to interfere with your rollers. And then two, the machine's reading the top part of this. So if it goes over just a bit, it's okay, but try not to make it go over too much. So let's load up our mat. We're going to select this button right here on the side. Now I am using my blue standard mat because this is a heat transfer vinyl, so there's no paper, unlike a pressure sensitive vinyl with that paper backing. There's no paper to this. I do not want to put paper on anything but my low tack mat, which is the blue one. For heat transfer vinyl, I usually use my purple standard mat. Would I use my fabric mat? No, it's too sticky for this. It's unnecessary. Everything looks good, everything looks great. You'll now notice our start button is lit up because we have our mat loaded. Now for the blade that I am using, I am going to be using this vinyl blade right here. If you did not see last week's video, we went over this vinyl blade. You can do this with the black auto blade if you do not have the vinyl kit. It's just the vinyl blade cuts better in my opinion. So it's nice if you're doing a lot of vinyl, worth it investing, but if you don't have it, you can do it with your black auto blade. Alrighty, so drop this in, load her on up, and let's hit start. Alright, so she's going to come down, test the thickness of this material, and only cut through half of it because we told her half cut. If we had turned half cut off, she would have cut through all of it, which is not what we want to do for vinyl. Alright, there she goes. Now, why am I doing the black part first? Well, because this is going to be my template, how I was showing you with that other one that I had already cut out. Whenever I cut out one of the colors now, I'm going to take that, weed it out, and while it's, cutting the next one, I could be laying that and spacing it perfectly on my little inside of my crayon. So it seems a little backwards, but trust me, it makes more sense like this. All right, now while it's doing that, let's figure out our color placement. Now you could go with the colors that the design had. It's 1,000% up to you. This is the great thing about ScanNCut. We can custom all of it. If I wanted it all be in shades of pink, how cute would that be? Well, I could do it in shades of pink. If I wanted it to be neons or all glitters or something like that, then I could do that. Oh my gosh, that would have been cute. Every crayon and a glitter crayon, that would have been cute. Anyways, all right, so I'm going to figure out my colors. Alrighty, so I have my colors laid out how I want them in order. This is done cutting, so let's go ahead and unload her. That's fun. Alrighty, now I'm not even going to start weeding her out because I'm going to start throwing my colors in there so that way it's cutting while I'm weeding and I'm saving time. So let's jump back to our machine. Let's hit OK. We're going to come home because we're done with this part. Now, if I did want to simply line the rest of them I wanted to do, I could keep cutting out the black if I wanted to. But I want to go ahead and move on to the next part. So I'm going to retrieve data from my USB. Now, if you notice right here, I saved the crayon with all the crayons. I also had little marks on there to think that I could do my placement better. This was the first one I did, and I did not like how this came out. I felt like it would be easier just to do each one. So if I actually clicked on this, I could still use this, hit OK. And I could edit it. So now I could come to edit and then come to these three bars right here. This is your grouping bars. I'm going to say, hey, well, these are your selecting in groups. I'm going to say, hey, I want everything except that last crayon to be selected. Hit OK. OK again. And then I could delete all of these if I wanted to. Oh, this little bar too. Delete. Now I only have that crayon and it's in the size that I want. So I'm not going to move it, edit it, anything. I like this. So I'm happy with this. So I'm going to hit OK. So I know that my first color that I want to cut out is going to be this red. So I'm going to select, and this is just a piece of scrap red. I mean, I've cut out of it before. All right, so I'm going to lay it on my mat in no particular kind of way. Okay, and I'm going to load this into my machine. Now, if this was a small piece of vinyl, so say it was just like this big, it wasn't this whole thing, well, I know that it's going to cut out of this. But if I wasn't sure, say I had a small piece of vinyl, you know what, I don't have one near me. But say it was like this, just this part of it. Well, if I wanted to just make sure that it was going to cut out of there, I could scan my material in with this right here. This is a mat with a bar on it. And this is saying, hey, do you want to scan your material in so you can see in color what's on your mat? So it's going to go ahead and it's going to scan in and then automatically show me in color what's on here. Now the really helpful part about this is if say we had fabric, or say we had printed vinyl. If we had a printed vinyl and we wanted to make sure that a certain part of that printed vinyl, like a designed vinyl, was going to be cut out, how easy. We scan it in, see it on screen, drop our image onto it. Alrighty, so now you can see there's our vinyl, here's our crayon. Now I knew that this piece would be fine because it's way bigger than what we need. So there's nothing I need to move or edit or anything like that. So we're gonna hit OK. Please select and then cut. But if you did want to use up your vinyl, all your little vinyl scraps, it's a great way to do this. It's just to take them, scan them in, and then you're good. So she's going to cut out that now. While she's cutting out that, and it's going to take her 2 seconds to do, so I know I'm going to just be putting my next color on there, I'm going to take this and cut it because I know that I want to use more of this black to cut out my next part, or my next bag. Yeah, look, she's already done. That was real time. All right, let's take her off. My next color is going to be, I took these out of line when I was messing with them. My next color is yellow, so I'm going to not have my mat be upside down. Take the yellow, put it on there. There she is. This is such a fast project. It seems tedious. The tedious thing about, or the most tedious thing about it is going to be weeding. But the weeding's so easy, especially heat transfer vinyl, that it's not going to take me any time at all. Please select, cut, start. There, she's on her own. Alrighty, so there she is. I'm going to switch cameras, that way you guys can see me weeding this out. I like to start from the outside. Oh goodness, she's done already. So I went ahead and I got it from the side, and I'll switch out that color in just a bit, but I do want to start weeding this. How cool is that? So you just come from the corner and then very gently start pulling. So as it cuts, I'm just going to keep weeding out my design. How cool is that? Oops, there we go. So now I've got the first part of my crayon out. How cool. So you'll see the clear part staying. I'm just taking out that first part. And since it did a half cut, it's coming off beautifully. Oh my gosh, that came out perfect. And this is already done cutting our last color. Goodness. This part came out so good. So it's the inner parts of our crayon. And now, take the last color. I'm done with my mat. Thank you, Matt. All right, so now that it's got that part, I'm going to put this right here and then weed out every single one of my crayons, and then that way I can start doing my placement. Now, what I did with these and what I'm gonna do with this one is I went ahead and I cut around because I forgot to add a weeding box, because of course I did. But I'm cutting around them, that way they're slender so I can put them on here and they won't overlap each other. It's okay if the plastic, like clear part, overlaps another one of the clear parts plastics. You just don't wanna make sure that none of this clear part goes underneath any of the vinyl that you're trying to heat down to your bag. So, all right, I'm gonna grab a pair of scissors and I'm going to go around that crayon, being fairly close. There we go.
Alright, so now that I've weeded out each one of my crayons, I'm going to lay them on those little black center of the crayon. So I'm lining them up with the top and the bottom of the crayon to make sure that my spacing's correctly. It's kind of like a little template. And so the sticky side is facing me. So sticky side up right now of that heat transfer vinyl is facing me on both of them. So both sticky sides up. So that way when I go to lay the whole piece down on my canvas bag, it's going to have the heat transfer part, the glue part, on the canvas bag. So it'll be ready to go ahead and heat onto the bag once we do that. Now we're not going to heat on the black part and the crayons together. We're going to take that black vinyl off of there. This is just to help me with spacing. So I'll show you in a minute. That's just going to be the crayons on there. We'll heat those on there first, then come back and lay the black vinyl on top of that, and then heat that up to be able to do the multiple layers of vinyl. Another great thing about doing it this way is that I can pull it up and move it and adjust it right now. Because if it was heated to the bag, well, I wouldn't be able to move it and adjust it. So now this is my grace period to be able to, shift it around a little bit if needed.
Alrighty, so now that we've got them all on here, how cool is that? We can move it all together because of that piece. So I'm going to take my bag that I want to, and I'm going to align it with the bag because the handles are kind of not sewn on there straight. So I'm going to line it up where I think it looks best. And you could get a ruler out and measure this if you wanted to. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Alrighty. So now we're going to take off the black inside part of our design, but I'm going to make sure that the crayons stay down. Okay. Got that, and we'll just put that off to the side. Oh my goodness, I just had an idea. What if we did the name out of a glitter vinyl? And then that's the only glitter vinyl on there, so it really pops. I think that would be huge. Okay. All right, so let's retrieve data from our machine. We know the drill, or from our USB. There's our teacher name. Hit OK. It's currently one piece because we brought it over there, so we could move it wherever we wanted to if we were cutting it out. Hit OK. OK again. Now wait. This is directional design. Oh no, because remember we flipped the vinyl whenever we cut it. So I need to make sure that I come to edit, object edit, and I need to come right here and flip. That way it's cutting it out this way so it cuts it correctly out of my vinyl. Hit OK, OK again, OK again. Please select, and we want to cut. Alright, so I'm going to lay my vinyl on here. This is going to be so stinking cute. There we go. Put it in our machine. Perfect. Please select and start. All right, and then she's off. That is going to be so cute. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited we had this idea. I love it. So tell me in the comments, what colors would you have done your crayons? What color would you have done your name? What color combo would you have used? And it stinks, I don't know her favorite color, because I could have done her favorite color, but it's kind of all the colors, you know? Now, usually when it's cutting out, I always tell you where I'm going to be so you can come meet me in person, but I don't have anything planned right now, other than, of course, Houston Coal Festival. That happens, I mean, they've changed the date. So it's usually the end of October, beginning of November. Of course, I will be there this year. So keep that on your radar. If you do want to come out and say hi or anything like that, I will be at Houston Coal Festival this year. Now we will be doing another Your Questions Answered video, so if you have any questions about ScanNCut, anything, doesn't even have to be vinyl, I know you're done. Go ahead and leave them below and we will answer your question on a video, and of course we'll show your question on screen. So make sure that you put your questions for the next questions and answers video that is coming up. I have quite a few questions that I feel like we need to go ahead and do another one. Side, there we go. Honestly, I think it's easier to weed out glitter vinyl than it is regular heat transfer vinyl. Some people disagree. Those people are wrong. No, I'm just kidding. It's just personally for me, it's easier. I mean, I don't really even need my picking tool for this. I mean, it's so easy. Now, the picking tool, I really recommend it for regular heat transfer vinyl. It's a godsend. This is just so chunky. It's just easy for me to grab on my own. How cool. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, this is gonna look so good. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it over and heat it onto my bag.
All right, guys, I'm having to film this on my phone. I'm so sorry. The quality is so shaky and crazy, but I did want to show you this. So I'm putting a protective piece of cloth down, just a spare piece of fabric that I have. I'm taking my iron and I'm pressing down, giving it a little bit of pressure. Now the video is a little deceiving because I put it on there for a lot longer, but I just wanted to show you guys how I do it. I press, I don't rub or scoot it around or anything. I'm pressing, and then when I pick it up, and then I'll go down and press again. Now once that's heated up, I can go ahead and pull off the top layer of that clear little transfer off of each piece of, or each part of my crayon. So that way when I put the black part on there, none of this is underneath that. So I would recommend, if you are doing it with a hand iron, put it on there for, a few minutes. Make sure you're not putting it on there too long and burning anything. But again, I wouldn't put an iron directly to this plastic that I'm taking off here. I would put a protective cloth under there, just a spare piece of cotton fabric. We all have a piece of cotton fabric that we have. So just a spare piece of cotton fabric or something, just to give you a little barrier between your hot iron and this. Now, however, once this project was done, I did take this over to my heat press, and I did press it in my heat press. I know a lot of people don't have heat presses, so I showed you how to do it with an iron. Now, right here, I'm putting the black part over, and I'm kind of lining it up. And again, I'll put that protective cloth over the top of it once I like the placement. Heat it up, and then once it's heated up, take that clear part off. Again, I am so sorry about the shaky camera. This was the only way that I could film it, was on my phone right in this spot. So, and again, once we have that, here we have our teacher name. So I'm doing in parts, just in different segments. So putting our teacher's name on there, lining that up, protective cloth over it, and ironing that part down too. So again, I did a good press after I was done with this on my heat press. I prefer my heat press. It gives a nice even press. With the hand iron, it takes a lot longer, and it's not going to give as good of a seal. It will do it, just long term, it's just not as good. So there she is, and one final press with our iron.
Guys, how cute did this turn out? Oh my goodness, how precious is this? I think she is going to love it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I love this design because, again, it's multicolor, so it's tons of different colors. We can really customize it to however we want. I mean, it's so easy on the ScanNCut. I mean, you guys saw it was literally took us minutes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to fill this up with a bunch of different goodies and give her to her for teacher appreciation. So if you have a teacher, or if you just want one yourself, honestly, this would be adorable on like a sleep mat, like a kid's sleep mat that you have to take to daycare. This design would be perfect for that. I mean, you really could put it on anything. This is so cute. Oh my goodness, I love it. So I hope she loves it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today and having something checked off my list that I needed to do. And I was running out of time because it's this week I need to give it to her. So make sure if you haven't liked and subscribed, do, because it's the easiest way to let us know that you want more of these videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.